Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Schmettinghoff. I'm a grant manager here at the Portland Children's Levy, and today I'm going to walk you through how to submit your annual report in Webgrants. I am going to share my screen and walk you through it, and together we are going to get you ready to get that report submitted. Thanks for joining me. All right. So you should be able to see my screen here. I have gone to Webgrants, which if you can't remember how to get there, just Google City of Portland Webgrants. It should pop right up. And what I'm going to do is log in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to log in as a tester. It's a test account, so I can do this demonstration. If you've not logged into WebGrants before, you'll need to register. And to do that, there's information on our website, portlandchildrenslevy.org, where you can find our WebGrants guide, and that has plenty of information about how to do that. But for today, I'm going to assume you're already registered, you've been in WebGrants before, so we're just going to move on. All right, so here I am in the main screen of WebGrants. I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side, and I'm going to scroll my mouse down to this tab that says Grants. And when I click on that, it will show me all of the grants that are actively assigned to me. Right now, there's just one. Your organization might have more than one. Many organizations have multiple grants from the levy. And if you don't see any of them, that means that your personal individual profile hasn't been linked to those grants. So if that's an issue, either talk to whoever else at your organization has access to the grant, or you can reach out to us here at the Children's Levy, either through talking to your grant manager or our info@portlandchildrenslevy.org, and then we can help you get attached to the grant. So for today, I'm going to click on this test grant. And here we go. It's going to take me to the screen that I like to call the grant components screen. And here are where all the documents and all the pieces of your grant, this is where they live. So you'll see it says contracts, annual grant budget, invoicing, mid-year and annual reports. And since we're doing an annual report demonstration, that's what I'm going to click on today. Okie doke. So I click on that, and it's going to take me to the mid-year and annual reports screen. Now, most of y'all have submitted a mid-year report in WebGrants. So when you go to the screen, you will see down here, you'll see this purple approved for your mid-year report. That means your mid-year report was submitted, we reviewed it, we approved it. You don't have to do anything else to it. But then you'll also see the annual report and the word editing. That's the one that you're going to want to go in and enter information. You're going to want to edit the report. So I'm going to click on that. It says test annual PCL report for demonstration, but for your program, it'll have the title of the program that you're reporting on. And then here we are at the status report details summary screen. So this screen is helpful because you can do a couple of things. You can click on edit status report, and that'll take you to the menu where you start entering information. Or you can start scrolling all the way down. And once you get past the info, then what it's going to do is it's going to show you all of the questions in your data report. And then it's going to show you all of the questions in the narrative report that you'll need to answer. And then it's going to show you the demographics report questions. So if you need to look at what the questions are, you can just go to this screen and scroll down and read them. Another option you have is to go up here in this top bar. I'm going to circle it with my mouse right here. See where it says print? You can click on that button, and then you can just say print to PDF. And what that will do is that will create a PDF copy of all the questions of the report. And that way, if you need to email it to a colleague or you want to copy and paste it into a Word document so you can work on it in Word, I used to do that all the time when I did grants and reports. Then that's how you do that. You go to this print button and you create a PDF copy of it. So I'm not going to do those things for today. For now, we're going to jump right into how we enter the information. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on this green button that says Edit Status Report. All right. So the annual status report is going to have three components. There is the annual data report, there is the annual narrative report, and then there is the demographics report. So in this example, I'm going to be using forms from our after school program area. So you're going to see the word after school in it, but your program area will be different. You might see different words. That's okay. But it's essentially, it's going to be whatever your program, whether you're a hunger relief organization or your early childhood or whatever. So this one that says general information here at the top, you don't have to do anything in that. Your grant manager does that for you, and that's already completed. So don't worry about that one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this annual data report after school. All right. And as I scroll down, you'll see the data report questions. So It's kind of weird looking. There's a lot of buttons. There's a couple sections. So the first thing I'm going to do is walk you through what the sections are. There's going to be your primary service population. That's this top little section. For some programs, like after school and mentoring, it's always going to be one line that's just for youth. Some programs, say in early childhood or child abuse prevention and intervention, there might be a line for youth and a line for adults. Some programs might just have a line for adults if it's, say, a prenatal home visiting program, right? So, but your primary service population is going to be here. You'll see what the measure is, the data measure. In this example, it's total unduplicated youth served in after-school programming. And then also you'll see the goal over here. And you'll notice there is no way to enter any information. It's like, that's kind of weird. To do that, we're going to click on this button over here that says Edit Grid, and that's what's going to allow us to enter the information. But before I'll do that, let's scroll down and look at the different sections. So we have this primary service population section. Then below that, we have youth and parents served. And that's going to be the section where we report on, I served this many folks in this particular program. Pretty straightforward stuff. The next section is going to be service activities. Those are going to be activities like the total hours of a specific class, maybe the number of food distributions you had, right? The pounds of food that you distributed to people. So the report will look different depending on what your program does. And you'll also notice as I scroll through these, you'll see these NA lines. Some programs have lots and lots of data measures, right? Some might only have one. So if you see a lot of NA lines, you can just leave all those blank. You don't have to enter anything. Don't freak out. You didn't do anything wrong. It just means that you have fewer data measures in your contract than some other grants that we have. All right. Below that, we're going to see this section that's called participation goals. Most grantees have participation goals, but if you're a hunger relief grantee, you do not. And what that goal is about is, what percentage of participants came to enough of a thing to make it meaningful. So in this after school example, it's going to be how many kids will participate in at least 40 hours of this particular science program. And we'll talk more about that when we go in to add the information. And then below that, we have program outcomes. And those are going to be things like the percentage of youth who came to the program enough are going to improve their understanding of the engineering design process, or parents will use in better parenting practices, or whatever it might be, whatever the outcome that's defined in your contract will be here in the report form. So that is the entire data report form. So I'm going to scroll all the way back up, and I'm going to hit this green Edit Grid button. And now you'll see when I go here, this box right here where it says actual, once I click Edit Grid, this is where you're going to enter the information, the actual number of folks that you've served throughout the year for your program. So we're going to enter some fake data here just so you can see what it looks like. Primary population, total unduplicated youth served in after-school programming. I'm going to say we served 134 youth. And we had 90 youth in science sessions. We had, for robotics and me, we had 56 youth. Sure, why not? And then for family science activity nights, this one says total unduplicated parents. I'm going to say we served 88. We didn't quite make our goal, but that's okay. The ones that say NA, I'm going to just leave blank. And then I can save the grid at any time. So I'm going to click Save Grid, and it takes me back. And as you can see now, it's going to calculate the percentage to goal once you click Save Grid. So in this example, for total unduplicated youth served, we served 134, even though our goal was only 120. So it's telling us, hey, you were 112% of your goal. So congratulations. All right, so I'm going to click Edit Grid again, and we're going to keep entering information. So down here for service activities, this measure is what are the total hours of Science 101 sessions we provided. Our goal was 240. I'm going to say we did 189. Robotics and me was 134, and the total hours of family science activity nights, I'm going to say 8. We didn't do so good on that one, but that's okay because it's not real. All right. And as I did again, I clicked Save Grid, and then that is going to calculate those percentage to goal for me again. I'm going to go ahead and click on Edit Grid now, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the participation goals. So for the participation goals, there's 3 lines. And if you read through them, it should make sense. But essentially what it's saying is, here's what the goal is. 70% of youth enrolled by January 1 will participate in at least 40 hours of Science 101 programming. Now this is just an example, yours will be different. The total number of youth enrolled by January 1 are the number of youth who are eligible to meet this goal. So you're going to want to enter that number first because that's the denominator of the fraction that the system will use to calculate whether you made the goal or not. And then of those youth, how many attended at least 40 hours of Science 101 programming? So in this example, I'm going to say we had 70 youth enrolled by January 1 and 65 attendance 40 hours. Same down here, 50% of youth enrolled by January 1 will participate in at least 20 hours of robotics and me programming. All right, well, I'm going to say 70 youth again were enrolled by January 1. And of those youth, how many came to 20 hours? I'm going to say it was 34. And then the other ones are NA, so I'm going to skip those and click Save Grid. You don't have to click Save Grid every time. I'm just doing it so we can show that it does the calculations for us. So as you can see here, I entered my information. The goal percentage is 70, and down here it's calculating the percentage to actual. So we got 93% of our goal in this first one, but only 49% on the second one, which is close to 50%. So now program outcomes. These are a little bit more complicated. I'm going to scroll back down. So for the program outcomes, every outcome has the goal, the number of folks who met the participation goal, the number of those folks who've been assessed, and then of those folks who've been assessed, the number of folks who met the outcome. That sounds like a lot, so I'm just going to walk you through it real fast. So in this example, 75% of youth enrolled by January 1 who attended at least 40 hours of Science 101 programming will report improved understanding of the engineering design process. Okay, so where it says number met participation goal, restate the number of youth who met participation goal 1. So this is essentially establishing our baseline. How many folks came to enough of the program that they should be able to show progress on this outcome? So that number was 65. So I'm going to go ahead and enter this number down here, 65. I'm just restating that number. Of those youth, how many were assessed for their understanding of the engineering design process? And I'm going to say 62 here. And I want to explain something really quick about that. Sometimes folks might meet your participation goal, but they might move away before you get to give them the assessment tool or before you get to give them the survey or whatever it is you're using to calculate that outcome. We don't want to punish you for that. So that's why there's two lines. There's the how many youth ultimately were eligible, and of those youth, how many did you have the opportunity to actually measure to see if they met the outcome or not? That one about how many you measured is the actual number we use to make the calculation. So of those youth who were assessed, how many improved their understanding of the engineering design process? I'm going to say 58, which is great. And then we'll do the same thing for outcome goal number 2. 90% of youth enrolled by January 1 who attended at least 40 hours of Science 101 programming will have no behavioral referrals for suspension or expulsion. I'm going to restate the number of youth who met participation goal 1. So again, it's just the same number of 62. Of those youth, how many were assessed for, or no, wait, sorry, it was supposed to be 65, not 62. Okay. Of those youth, how many were assessed for behavioral referrals for suspension or expulsion? And then it says here, PCL will enter this data at a later date. So for some of you, after school mentoring, I think maybe a couple of foster care programs, we get data from the school district that we're going to enter into this report for you. So if you see that line that says PCL will enter this data at a later date, you don't have to enter anything. You can just move on. So we're going to skip these two boxes and we're done. And I'm going to click Save Grid. And as you can see, it's going to, I'm going to scroll down to the outcome section. It's calculated these outcomes for me. So the percentage goal here was 75 and we got to 94%. And on this one, the goal was 90%. And it says 0 right now. And that's because we didn't enter any data. But later, PCL staff are going to enter that data for you, and then it will update, and then we will share that with you. So once you are done with the report, there is this button here that says Mark is complete. I'm going to go ahead and click that now. And what that does is it tells the system, oh, I finished that form, right? So here in this example where it says PCL annual data report after school, and this is marked complete, you've finished the form, that basically tells it once all of these forms are done, you can go ahead and click submit. Because you might notice there's no button here right now that says submit the report, but there will be once all those forms have a green check in them that says they're completed. Now, what happens if I click the complete button and I want to go back and I want to change it? That's okay, no problem. I just click on it. I go in and I'm going to say, oh, let me edit this. I made a mistake. I counted the wrong number of parents. So instead of 8, we actually had 14 parents come to this. And then I click save. No problem. Doesn't matter. You'll notice there is no mark as complete button, and that's okay because the system, once it thinks it's complete forever. So you don't have to worry about that. And I'm going to go back to that status report details menu. And here you're going to see, okay, now where it says PCL annual data report after school, it still has that green check mark that is still marked complete. So the data report is the hardest part of the report. It's the one that involves the most work, obviously. So let's do the narrative report. So here we're just going to essentially fill out the different questions. There's a section called reflection on program data, right? Where you're going to think about the data you entered and say, hey, did you make your goals? Did you not? Can you tell us a little bit more about why? How'd it go? And then there's another section that just says other reflections on program delivery that's going to have some additional questions. And then there's an optional program information section. And there's a place to add optional attachments. And that is feedback that you asked for because in our last mid-year report, there was nowhere to like upload pictures and upload annual reports or things that you wanted to share with us that were different than just written words. So we created that file for you. You can upload PDFs, you can upload pictures, you can upload whatever you need in that section, whatever you want. So I'm not going to read each of these questions and answer them with you. I'm just going to enter some gobbledygook data real fast because all of these questions, you'll notice, have this red label. And if they have a red label, they're a required question. And we're not going to be able to mark the form as complete unless they all have data in them. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter random letters, like a cat walking across a keyboard. That's fun. And I'm not going to read the questions to you because you guys can handle that without me. And then I'm going to click Save Form. I'm not going to put anything in the optional section. And I am going to mark this as complete. One other thing I should say is that you also gave us feedback that in the narrative forms, there wasn't enough data. There was like a $2,500 character limit, and you wanted to say more in some instances. So we've upped the character limit to 5,000 characters. If you want to type more to answer any of these questions, please don't feel any pressure to type up to 5,000 characters. If the answer is short, you can answer it short. If the answer is long, you can answer it long, whatever you need to explain what you want to explain about your program. But there's no pressure to enter an extra information to fill that character count. All right. And then the final section of the report is going to be this PCL demographics report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if you've filled out a report for us before, then you've seen the demographic report before. This is just a Webgrants version of it. There's a few differences in how we have listed the gender categories just to update things and to be a little bit hipper with the times. We've added separate line for two-spirit and then non-binary, agender, no gender, other not given, and yeah, feel free to answer those however you need to. The race and ethnicity data is the same. Primary language data is the same. The age data is the same. Socioeconomic status, and we understand that for some programs that's not an appropriate thing for you to collect. Some it is, some it isn't, and that's okay. If you don't know, you can just say, we didn't ask. Disability status, same information. Some folks might know that, some folks might not. That's okay. And then down here for residence and zip code, the feedback we got from our grantees was that we used to have a list of every single zip code and folks had to enter a number for each single zip code, and that was pretty burdensome. So we're trying this new system where we're just grouping them together to say North Portland, Northeast Portland, to kind of give you a regional sense of where the zip codes are to make it easier to, if you know all of your kids, for example, live in Southwest Portland that you're serving, that is an easier way to fill that out. So in this example, it's very similar. I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top. When I want to enter information, I'm going to click Edit Grid. And I'm going to enter the total number of children and youth that we served. And I don't remember what it was, but I'm going to make one up, say 120. And then I'm going to say, okay, and we served 60 males and 58 females. And we had 2 who didn't give us their gender. And when I click Save, you will see that it's going to calculate the percentages for me, just like the other forms did. And it's basing that total count on this number that you enter up here. So you're just going to do that for all of the demographic information. I will say some programs are going to have 2 columns where it's information that they enter for youth and information that they enter for parents and caregivers. Some programs might only enter the parents and caregivers data because it doesn't make sense to track the youth demographics. Your form might have specific instructions from your grant manager about which column to use. If you're after school mentoring, it's probably just going to be youth. If you're hunger relief, it'll probably just be parents and caregivers. It won't be split up with youth and then parents and caregivers. So the demographic form might look a little different, but if you're familiar with the way we collect demographics and you've done it before, it's going to be very similar to that. It just looks different because it's in Webgrants, essentially. So in this example, even though we haven't filled it out yet, I'm going to go ahead and mark it as complete. It lets me do that. So you should know that if you don't fill out the information and mark it as complete, it's not going to tell you, hey, you didn't fill it out. So keep an eye on the demographic form to make sure you're done. And now that we're back here, you'll notice there is this little orange button that wasn't there before that says Submit Status Report. And the reason that is there is because all of these forms have this green check mark that says it was complete. We've marked them all complete. So the system thinks, oh, this is done and able to be submitted. So in this example, I'm ready to go. I'm going to click Submit Status Report. Please confirm that you wish to submit this document for review. You betcha. I'm going to click Submit. Oh, and it says something interesting here. After submission, you will not be able to edit this document. That's correct. However, if you do click submit, like I just did, and then you realize, oh, I made a mistake, and you want to go back and you want to make changes, let's go back into it. See, it's not going to let you edit it. There's no edit button, but I can see what I wrote, and I can say, oh man, I filled out this number completely wrong over here. I can email my grant manager and say, hey, can you send that back to me? I need to change it. And I, as the grant manager, can just go into the system, kick it back to you in a thing called correcting status. And then we can work through it together. You can fix it. I can re-review it and approve it. So that's really pretty much it. It's very straightforward. It's similar to the mid-year report form process. It's just more information because the data report is longer, and then there's the demographic form. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at the Levy. You can either contact your grant manager, or you can email the info@portlandchildrenslevy.org. Sometimes the info address is nice to use because if one of us is on vacation, the rest of us will still see it and be able to respond quickly. So if there's any issues with that at all, you can reach out to us. We're happy to help. It is our job. Also, if you have any language needs, if you have any accessibility needs, if you have any frustrations or any other issues that are barriers to you using the system or being able to submit the reporting information, it is our job to help you. So please feel free to reach out and request whatever kind of support you need, and we will jump on it and get you the support you need and make sure that we can make whatever accommodations are necessary so that you can fill out the information that you need to fill out. So again, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being a PCL grantee and for all the good work that you're doing in the community. We're very, very grateful to be here to support you and to be a part of it. So thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. If I can find the button, there it is, stop share. And then we're going to stop the recording. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.